Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and we're live with the latest Manchester United transfer news as Erik ten Hag makes contact with a new winger target, Ugarte. Things start to move there. Where are we with Ligt? When will Zirkzee be official? Also, moves for left backs, right backs, and also players heading out the door, but players that maybe should be heading out the door who don't want to go. Let us stay. Some of you might be doing church this morning, let us pray. Some Man United players are doing let us stay. They're not actually looking to leave. So what do Man United do with those sorts of players? We'll talk about that as well. Lots to get into. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but I needed my beauty sleep because tonight's going to be a big one. I'm going to be diving into hot tubs at around midnight, celebrating England being the Euros champions. It's coming home. MUFC, yes, love the stuff. And I love what Sir Jim Radcliffe's message to England was, Luke Shaw, please don't pull your hamstring again, which is absolutely fantastic and true. But it's a big day tonight. Don't forget, we will not have an 8 o'clock show tonight. Well, we will. It will just be on That's Football, watching it come home, and you can join me live on That's Football for that. But let's get into what United are all about. So, look, I mentioned this late on the show last night. Jordan says pre-recorded. Jordan, you can just leave. How can it be bloody pre-recorded, you prat? Bottom line is that, literally, listen back to what I just said. It can't be pre-recorded because I just acknowledged Jordan in the chat. This came in on the show late last night. Zikanov, who is a Girona Ukrainian winger, 26, reports from Spain that Ten Hag has already made contact with the player who has a release clause. He's currently on holiday because he was part of the Ukraine Euros squad, but things will escalate very, very quickly with Manchester United. Now, look, for a Sunday morning show, I would say that this is typical. We've also got an update on Ugarte because they're out of Uruguay now, and Ligt. So let's start on incomings. I'm intrigued by this story in the sense that it's sort of the type of story that could come true because it's a little bit left field. But then on the other hand, I'm sort of like, why are we being linked to him? I've never heard us be linked to him at all. Interesting in the sense that I don't know whether there'll be many people who know a lot about Zikanov from Girona. As I said, 26, left-footed right winger. And, you know, straight away I start to... Look, I'll be honest, I didn't know loads about him. I took a little bit of a look at him last night and... Yeah, I mean, I must have spent about half an hour watching clips on YouTube and reading articles on him. And ultimately, I can't sit here with any level of knowledge and say, yeah, I know loads and loads about him. I know that Arsenal have been looking at him and other clubs have been looking at him. But effectively, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I saw was a player that's just very, very similar to Anthony. But I mean, not the same as Anthony, but the profile of player. He's very, very left-footed. He does play off the right wing. And I'd say he's a little bit more direct. And, you know, takes his man on more. But look, they're definitely a very, very similar profile to Anthony. So you could almost go, well, there's three scenarios here. It's complete nonsense and we're just being linked to a player again to generate interest. We are interested and we're not happy with Anthony. Or, you know, third thing, it's just complete and utter nonsense, like, you know, maybe a bit like the first option. But, I mean, as a profile of winger, I suppose it's interesting in a sense because if Ten Hag feels that the left-footed inverted winger that he wants off the right is not Anthony and this guy will provide something that he needs, then maybe we will do something about it. I mean, who do we have that is a left-footed inverted winger from the right? Who do we have who's a left-footer? You know, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Pellistri, Ahmad. I think is Ahmad left-footed or right-footed? I think Ahmad's right-footed, but you know, we don't actually have that many left-footed players. So I think that with regards to that, I'd just monitor it. Look, it's a story. It's a transfer story on a Monday morning. Ahmad is apparently a lefty. I mean, this is exactly the problem with Ahmad, isn't it? We just don't see enough of him. But yeah, I would say from what I've seen of this Zikankov, he does look a little bit like the profile of an Anthony, who's just very direct, very, very quick, very left-footed. And it wouldn't make sense to buy him if you believe Anthony's going to deliver. So I guess keep an eye on it. It's a news story that's coming in overnight that Ten Hag has held talks with him, and that there is interest with Girona. Of course, Girona are owned by Man City Group as well, so that would make things rather interesting. But at 26, I don't think he's the sort of player that Pep Guardiola would be looking at. So I guess we'll see what happens with that one. But certainly one to bear in mind this Sunday morning. I mean, of more interest, I want to talk about the players that are saying, let me stay. But you might have seen last night, Ugarte played for Uruguay. Well, he played for about 46 minutes. It was a third place playoff with Canada. Went to penalties. They won. Uruguay are now done. They're out. You know, the Copa America is over tonight, the same as the Euros. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Ugarte now, because these players that have been involved in the latter stages of the Euros and the Copa America literally don't start their holiday until tomorrow. So you're talking about probably 3 weeks from tomorrow, which is what? How many days are in July? 31. So 15 takes us to 30, 16 days, another 5 days. Yeah, if you're not coming back until sort of like the sort of 3 weeks tomorrow, which is like August the 6th, isn't it? So a few days before the Community Shield, and a week and a half before the start of the season. So if you're going to get Ugarte and you want him here for the first game of the season against Fulham, which I think we do know, if Casemiro goes, we've got to look at. What I really wanted to get into on the show this morning is we've got to escalate the deal for Ugarte pretty much from now. And I think that we will do, because if Casemiro goes, he won't play against Fulham. And if Casemiro goes and we don't move quickly on the Ugarte deal, we start the season against the likes of Fulham and Liverpool are the third game, and I forget who the second game is, and I think it's Brighton. And what's our midfield three? Mainu, Bruno, McTominay. You know, so we need to move quickly on this Ugarte deal if he's going to be the midfielder, because we need to start the season well. And you delay this by another week, and you are going to jeopardise him even being here for the Fulham game. So that now that Uruguay are out of the Copa America and they've finished, I think Man United can move quickly. Whether we'll move as quickly as we did with Zirkzee, who literally went out and then it was here we go, and then it was medical, and then it was there we go. You can go on holiday now. I don't know, but I do think that we need to move very, very quickly on Ugarte, and I expect Manchester United to move quickly on that, because when it comes to the midfield situation at the moment, the latest from everybody in the know is that João Neves is not a goer. Nothing has progressed with that. Ugarte is the main target, and Casemiro to Saudi Arabia. So that's where we're at the moment. Obviously, things can move, but that's where we're at. So I think let's get moving on that. Simply, let's get moving on that. Which reminds me, actually, let me just mention, a few people are mentioning De Ligt. A lot of people getting in the replies of Romano. What's the situation with De Ligt? Well, as I understand it, De Ligt is already on holiday. The Netherlands went out on Thursday. On Wednesday night, actually. As I said, Zirkzee came and did his medical. He's on holiday now. We've seen the pictures of that. But apparently De Ligt is on holiday as well. So if Man United were to do a here we go with De Ligt, it would be pending a medical, because it's unlikely he would be coming back from a holiday just to do a medical. So it sort of potentially slows the deal down a little bit. There are rumours out there that we've actually already agreed a deal with Bayern Munich, and it's just about when everybody wants to announce it. So we could and should get here we go with De Ligt some point this week. But whether we'll get him medical, I think it might be pending medical, which we've done in the future. When would his holiday finish, says Ayub? Well, I would imagine all of next week, all of the week after, he'd be on holiday, and then he'd be coming back after that. So, but look, none of these players are going on tour. Zirkzee isn't going to go on tour, even though he's a Man United player. And on Zirkzee, official announcement will be tomorrow. Maybe as early as 8 o'clock, but tomorrow morning they should announce it, because there was this rush to get it done on Friday. And obviously, here we go. He's a Man United player. He's passed his medical. This is the weird world we live in. And I feel I don't think I need to explain this, but there are stages of a transfer where it's like initial talks, terms agreed with the player, deal done with the club. Here we go with Romano or Ornstein or whatever, and then official announcement. And official announcement is nice. It is part of the process, but there's nothing that's going to go wrong. Medical's done, pictures are done. It really is just about the PR. The official announcement is the PR, where you'll get comments from the player. You'll get comments from the manager. We may well get comments from Ashworth and Barada, which I think might also be a reason why we didn't announce it on Friday and we waited till Monday, because as we know, Barada is now officially a Man United CEO, and this is officially Man United's first signing under Ineos, so I'm sure that it would be, to wait a couple of days so that officially Barada can have a comment on it is probably, about the teamwork that United want to encompass and bring together. Olmo says, your agenda against Jadon Sancho is unhealthy. It's Sunday. Welcome to Sunday, everybody. The day where toxic people wake up and realise that their lives aren't that good. They've got to go work tomorrow and they try and take it out on everybody else. Welcome to Sunday, Olmo. I hope you can take a little bit of a time out, maybe touch a bit of grass and get a mirror, look in the mirror and look at why you're such a toxic liar and your life isn't fulfilling you. We're all fully aware and we're all here to support you. A lot of people feel like you on a Sunday. And that's just how it works. Got no idea what the agenda against Jadon Sancho is, but I imagine I also hate Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I'm just a big hater. I wake up in the morning and I think, ooh, I must tweet something about Jadon Sancho or Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandes. I just love hating players and pushing agendas against them. Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. I mean, what are you even talking about Jadon Sancho agenda? I don't even know what I don't care enough to have an agenda about Jadon Sancho, if I'm being honest. We did a whole video about it on Friday. I started off by saying I trust Ineos and I trust Ten Hag. And if they want to bring him back in the squad and they want to pick him, then I'll back it. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. But touch some grass, mate. I got to work today, but I'm feeling happy. United, says Killer. Thank you very much. Are players' holidays shorter if they didn't play, says Tom. No, I think that most players, Tom, I guarantee someone like Scott McTominay, who played all last season and played in the Euros for Scotland, he probably wants to come back training tomorrow after a week and a half off. But I'd be very surprised if Ten Hag allowed that, because turning up with an apple isn't really going to work. Like, eagerness doesn't supersede common sense. Like, Scott McTominay needs to have 3 weeks off. De Ligt. So you've got to give these players 3 weeks off, because when it hits October, November, and they're picking up muscle strains and stuff like that, you look back to the summer and go, did we give these bodies enough time? So they will get him. I believe Anthony will turn it around. He has passion, but had unfortunate circumstances, says Constantine. I think with regards to Anthony and Sancho and Ahmad and Rashford, there is a pre-season where they can and will get opportunities. All I would say is, I suppose it's a quest for who wins, because I think they'll all win. I mentioned it in the book, pre-season Pirlo. Like, there is no reason why Marcus Rashford couldn't score 6 goals in pre-season. There's no reason why Sancho couldn't create and score goals, or Anthony couldn't create, or Ahmad couldn't create and score goals. It's pre-season. A lot of people in pre-season who are confident of their first team place actually don't exert themselves too much because they're building it up. We've seen Jesse Lingard and Pereira in the past who treat pre-season like it's a cup final, because they want to put, they want to get in the team, they want to put themselves in the shop window. And if you do that, you can stand out. You can really stand out. So, I wouldn't be surprised if all those players had a good pre-season, and it will be exciting to watch Rashford and Anthony and Sancho and Ahmad. But who will be performing the best? And I think injury is the thing that we don't want to see happen to anybody. So yeah, Ligt I expect to happen this week. Obviously, as I said, Zirkzee tomorrow. Zikanov we've spoken about. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with him. With Ugarte, I suppose with Ugarte, just going back to him very, very quickly, how quickly could a deal happen with him? I suppose, I want that deal to happen. I mean, look, no part of me is stressed about the deals that we're doing, but I do think that we are in the middle of July now, and that game against Fulham is in the middle of August. So it sharpens the mind a little bit that we're 4 weeks away from Fulham. And talking about sharpening the mind, we already know the critics have got their knives sharpened for Ten Hag. So we don't start the season well against Fulham. There isn't going to be this movement that goes, well, it's a new United, there's new players, they've got to be a bit patient. It'll be bang, bang, leaks, bang, this, bullshit, bullshit. So we have to start the season well. And we've got Liverpool third game. So we have to start the season well. And if we're going to start the season well, we need certain players in the door. We've made countless mistakes over recent years where the season doesn't start until after the international break. Like Ronaldo didn't sign for Man United until the international break. Like he didn't play his first game until after the international break. Same thing happened with Amrabat. It happened with Casemiro. It happened with Anthony. We have to get going from game one. And if you let Ugarte slip for a few weeks while you negotiate with PSG, then he will not play against Fulham. And then Fulham are capable of getting a result at Old Trafford, and you might jeopardise those points. And if we don't get De Ligt and the other centre-back done before Fulham, then you might be picking a team with McTominay and Lindelof in it, and then you might drop points. So we need to sharpen our minds a little bit and be right. We've got to be ready at the start of the season. And look, we had a terrible season last year and we weren't actually that far off. I know we finished 8th, but we weren't that far off 5th. And if you start the season well, that can be the big thing, can't it? So certainly I think that I want to see Man United moving forward on some of these players, and Ugarte and De Ligt I think are two that are going to make a big difference if they're available for the Fulham game. And they will be available in relation to they'll be back training and ready to go, but will they be wearing Man United shirts? Well, let's make sure that they are. Vinny, start off bad for Real Madrid. I believe Anthony can turn it around for us, says Killer. I'm army and currently away on exercise, says Obi. These vids are getting me through the days. Exciting times with genuine transfer news daily. Big season ahead, says Obi. Thank you very much, pal. Hope you're doing well. Bobby, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. And Rory C says, I presume you'll be on it tonight regardless of the outcome. Are you going to do a World watch along tomorrow for United as an Irishman? Come on, Spain, says Rory C. Yeah, look, we will have a show for you tonight on the United stand. It just won't be 8 o'clock. It'll probably be 6 or 7. Obviously, I'm going to be on That's Football for England. Watch along, join me there. But we've got a Man United watch along tomorrow. I think it's a 5 o'clock kickoff against Rosenborg. 100%. You know, I love pre-season. As I said, there's a section about it in my book, which I've probably mentioned 100 times, but I love pre-season, and I'm all for converting people to get into pre-season. But look, it's not the place to judge Rashford or Anthony, really. It's a confidence place for them. But where it is interesting is if you've got new signings to take a look at. I think Mason Mount's a bit like a new signing for me. But also, it's the younger players to see who might be coming through. So, yeah, interesting. And definitely doing that tomorrow live on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me just talk to you about outgoings as well. A very, very interesting update. In fact, we nearly led on this. It was changed at the last minute. The thumbnail was going to be Let Us Stay, because it's Sunday and a lot of people traditionally went to church. So let us pray, let us stay. And then I thought, no, it won't work. So anyway, Let Us Stay. Where are we at? A few stories yesterday floating around that Harry Maguire wants to stay and fight for his place at Manchester United. For what feels like the last 3 summer transfer windows in a row, we've had the same story. We're also hearing the same about Scott McTominay and a couple of other players as well. Obviously, we already know this is the case with Rashford. And I mention Rashford only because if Rashford had said, I want to go, I feel like, you know, I've run my course at United and need a fresh start, then that might have led to an exit from Man United, but he doesn't want to do that, and he said that a long time ago. I don't want to go, I want to stay. So obviously Rashford there, but with Maguire and McTominay, There is apparently, and a few people have been reporting this over the weekend as well, there is no push from them to move. So they are back smiling. Well, McTominay's not, but Maguire is back training, smiling, expecting to be a Man United player next season. Now, that doesn't mean that he definitely will be, but what is also happening is you have got other players that have had meetings and are, okay, all right, I'm going to move then, because they've been told, like Camboire, he's gone already. Eriksen is another player that is not back yet, but has already put feelers out with his agent about options. Wan-Bissaka, West Ham, keep an eye on that. His agent has been working hard as well. It doesn't mean that all these players definitely go, but there are players who've had the conversation or are going to have the conversation and are aware that they're probably going to need to move. But in the case of Maguire, he's back at Man United training and isn't actively, using his agent to get a move. Now, whether that's right or wrong, we can only give you the news, but he's back in training, pre-season, focused on Man United, and not looking to go. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, look, that's up to you. But there are other players out there, as we know, who are, looking for moves because they feel that they want to play first team football. I think all I would say on it is that it's a hard one to call, because a player's individual personality should never be called out in relation to wanting to get your head down and work hard and, fight for your place. But as I said, this has been going on for 3 years now with this particular player and others. And at some point, you just think, well, get the message. I suppose, get the message. He's not got a lot of years left on his contract. He's 31. He's actually older than Varane. But I think it's for Man United to look, Man United are going to have to take control here. I think there's a few players that have come back to pre-season with a smile on their face, wanting to work hard and prove that they're good enough to play for Manchester United. And, at the end of the day, you can't knock that mentality. And Maguire did quite well last season when he played. But I would almost throw this onto Ten Hag and Ineos. If Maguire comes back and trains well in pre-season and they go, we only need one centre-back, then more for them. If we start losing games because of our defensive line or a lack of pace, then that's on Ten Hag and that's on Ineos. Like, we already know what Maguire can and can't do. We know his strengths and we know his weaknesses. And that was why we were looking for two centre-backs. And if we suddenly go, we can't get Branthwaite, so we'll put it with Maguire. Well, I'm sorry, that's on Ineos and that's on Ten Hag. It's not on Harry Maguire. So United either buy two centre-backs to supplement Martinez, and then Maguire's going to have to make a decision because he's going to be fourth or fifth choice centre-back, or we only buy one centre-back and go, let's stick with Harry. In which case, when he's playing in games and we can't play the way we want to play, then that's on them. So I'm quite relaxed about this. I've got no problem with players saying they want to stay, because it's about being ruthless and saying, if you want to stay and you're telling us you're not going to leave, that's up to you, but you're not going to play. You're not going to play much at all. And actually, if I'm really honest, it doesn't matter how well you train, because I'm buying two centre-backs that will be ahead of you. So even if you train really, really well, these two players are my priority because we're bringing them in and we've got Martinez. So you will not be playing much. It's not going to be, I might say it publicly in a press conference, but privately, it's not about how well you train and it's not about form. I'm pushing these two new centre-backs for a reason, and it might take them time to adapt, but I'm going with them and Martinez ahead of you. So those three would need to be out for you to come in. And if you're happy with that, that's fine. But, that's how it's going to be. So look, of course, at the moment, there are a few players that are not looking to leave, but they might also be of a position where they're waiting to see what Man United do. Because let's be clear, last summer, we were meant to bring Kim Min-jae in. We didn't do it. Maguire was meant to go to West Ham. He didn't go. We didn't bring Kim Min-jae in. Maguire didn't go, and Maguire played a lot of football. So he might be looking at it going, well, look, I'm not in any rush. I'm sure there'll be interest for me in August if I need to go. let's see how the next month plans out, first of all, because I'm on 190 grand a week. And wherever I go, I'm not going to be on 190 grand a week. So let's see how the tour goes. Let's see how United's recruitment goes. And if at the start of the season, I'm nowhere near the first team, I've got 2 weeks to get a move. And I think you can understand that. You can understand that. And there will be a few people who look at it like that, whether we like that or not. Jer says, I thought we should pick player based on merit. If Maguire outperformed the new signing, why shouldn't he start? You've never been a manager, have you, Jared? And you certainly didn't listen to what I said there. So why do you think Anthony got picked ahead of Jadon Sancho? Because he was a Ten Hag signing. So, yeah. Publicly, a manager will always say, I'm going to pick on merit. Why do you think Harry Kane's going to play tonight and Ollie Watkins won't? Why do you think Trippier's starting and Luke Shaw's not? Why do you think Cole Palmer won't start, but Foden or Bellingham will? Because managers have favourites. Like, I can't believe I'm having to give you this lesson on a Sunday morning. But even more so, if I've got Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof and I buy Branthwaite and De Ligt, and in pre-season training, Maguire and Lindelof are performing better, I'm not picking them against Fulham. I'm picking De Ligt and Martinez and bringing Branthwaite on, because that's the choice I've made. I don't spend £80 million on 2 centre-backs and pick Maguire and Lindelof. I'm buying £80 million worth of centre-backs because I think they're better than Maguire and Lindelof for numerous reasons, and I'm going to give them more opportunities and more priority. This is what happens, pal. This is how it works. It's not about it's not about how well you train or what form you're in, really. It's about what manager has a favourite about what, and we've seen that at Man United for years. And also, what you're not factoring in as well is that the frustration factor of buying 2 centre-backs and then the current 2 centre-backs saying we're not leaving. Like, personalities, relationships, all these things factor in. But if you think that a football manager goes into training every week and goes, who's performing well this week? Right, you're starting. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. What if United keep Maguire as another dimension to defence, i.e. for the things he's good at? Zirkzee is a different profile than Rasmus, for example, says Rahil. Oh, it's Sunday, isn't it? Okay, let me. Sometimes I just think people don't listen. So we've got Martinez. We buy De Ligt. We buy another centre-back. And you want us to keep another centre-back on 190 grand a week. Why? Why would you have a 4th choice centre-back on 190 grand a week? Because he's good in the air. When's that going to work then? De Ligt's good in the air. The other centre-back we buy might be good in the air. So, yeah, look, I think on one hand, people want us to cut the wage bill and be FFP compliant. And on the other, they want us to stick people like Maguire on the bench as a 4th choice centre-back. We've got to be ruthless. We've got to be aggressive in what we buy, and we've got to be ruthless as well. And that's what I say. Look, I've got no problem with Scott McTominay, Victor Lindelof, Christian Eriksen, Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming back and saying, I'm not planning on leaving. But they need to be taken aside and said, look, you're not going to play much. Even if you're training well, you're not going to play much because this is my priority. And if you look at someone like Christian Eriksen, very good example. Christian Eriksen comes back from pre-season, from the Euros holiday, comes back and says, look, I've thought about it, Eric. I'm not going to leave. At my age, I'm really happy in Manchester. The wage is good. I've got a year left on my contract. I'm just going to run it down and I'll go for free next year. So I'm going to stay. And, as a manager, you go, that's really good, Christian. Thanks for being honest. You are on a good wage, 150 grand a week. And you're not going to get that anywhere else. And if you run your contract down for a year and you're happy in Manchester, then next summer there's no transfer fee for us. So you'll get, all of that signing on fee. So financially, I completely understand why you're doing it, Christian. So yeah, understand that. From my side, I want to sell you. And if you don't go, then I'm not going to play you. And it's got nothing to do with the fact that you're running your contract down. It's to do with the fact that I want to be honest that you can run your contract down, but you're not going to be playing a lot of football. Now, whether that impacts your international career or whether it increases your drop off in your 30s because you're not playing regularly enough, that's not my problem. You're not part of my plans. I'm going to be prioritising Mainu and Collier and Ugarte and Mount and Bruno. And maybe even McTominay. So your 7th choice midfielder in a midfield that only has 3 spots. And that's the fact. And if you train well and you play well, unless I've got injuries, I'm not going to use you because I'm going to prioritise the development of Collier and Mainu, and I'm going to prioritise Ugarte as a new signing, and also Mount ahead of you. So I can't even say to you that if you train well, you'll play, because I'm going to prioritise other people. And that's probably the best example of how it works. Because if a player comes back and says, I don't want to go, I want to fight for my place, well, you've got to be ruthless as a manager. You've got to be ruthless as an owner. And you've got to say, well, that's not how it works. There's 2 people in this conversation, and it's great that you want to stay, but we want to sell you. And whilst you can say you don't want to go, I can also say you're not going to play. And I can also say you're not going to play no matter how well you train, because I want to prioritise the future of this football club, and you're not part of it. So unless we've got a major injury crisis, we'll keep it professional, but you're not going to play much. So and that's how you have to be. You've got to be ruthless. It's not the player's decision, unless the player's really powerful. I mean, I think you've got a problem doing that with somebody like Marcus Rashford or Bruno Fernandes. But I think with these, look, the deadwood needs to go. So we need to talk about the deadwood. Richard Rios looks like a great sub for Ugarte. He's only 24 and killing Copa America with Colombia shouldn't be too expensive. Winter is coming, Marks is Diego. Any chance of Tedido? Updates on the court thing? Absolutely nothing at the moment, MK. I, like you, hope something will happen. I've got an update on a left back to give you. Rahul says, what if United keep Maguire? I've done that one. If Sancho is staying, we need to play Anthony at left back, says Gareth. Have you seen what happens when you play Anthony at left back? He goes bloody mad. Killer says, I'm from LA. We love United. Thank you very much, pal. Hope you're well. Bayern waiting for Tar before they sell De Ligt, says Ryan. And do you think Erik ten Hag has been told to back down with Sancho? Could he still be sold, says Jonathan. I think they've all got in a room and they've cleared the air. Apologies, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's probably still likely that he will leave, but the trust is gone. Can they build a relationship again? I think no answer is going to happen after one training session. You know, it's like going back. Look, I think life echoes work, and if you're in a relationship, girl or boy, whatever, and it breaks down for a reason, and then you get back together, as a lot of people do, there's the honeymoon period, isn't there? You know, there's the first couple of weeks where it's like, oh, you know, everything. But it's after the first couple of weeks when the honeymoon period is over and the problems that were there before often resurface. So let's wait and see. I presume I've done that one from Rory C. Right, there is a story coming in from Turkey, a massive outlet in Turkey that I've never heard of before, that are linking us again to the left back, I can't pronounce his name of, who plays for Fenerbahce and played for Turkey in the Euros. Apparently, Man United are willing to bid up to £30 million for him. Apparently, we've even had a bid rejected of 25. Now, it's Sunday, it's a news show, we can bring it in. The name is Kadioglu, which I probably have got right. My pronunciation of Turkish names is way better than Norwegian or Swedish, actually. I don't know why. But G-Man says it's Ferdi Kadioglu. Perk says he's great. I have got nothing to say about this because I do not scout people based on international tournaments and I do not watch Fenerbahce. So I don't know whether he'd be a good signing or not, but I just have a bit of a concern about this. And I do not know whether it would be a good signing or a bad signing. I also don't know if we're genuinely looking at him or not. But what I would say is that I want the best left back we can buy. I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. And Ken says as a backup he's not too bad. But I want Gutierrez from Girona. That's who I want. I want a left back that comes into the club and Luke Shaw shits himself. And I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw, but I think Luke Shaw has got a lot to do next season. I mean, the fact that he went to the Euros and hasn't started a game because he's not fit enough to start a game, he's not even fit enough to start tonight, is an embarrassment. It's a vanity project. And United have signed it off. But it's a vanity project. And I agree with people. I agree with him going. I always said that I understand why Luke Shaw would want to go. And if they win tonight, God, you're going to go. But it's a vanity project. It's putting England ahead of Manchester United. It's risking your next season for England this summer. And he's not even started a game. Like, has Luke Shaw made England get to the final of the Euros? No. He's not even playing tonight. He's done well when he's come on, but he's not actually been a game changer. So he could have been on holiday and on pre-season with us getting ready for the new season. So I want a left back to come in that gives Luke Shaw a bit of a kick up the backside, because a lot of people think he's not reliable injury-wise. I would say that also on top of that, there's question marks about his priorities as well. So, look, I'm a massive fan of Luke Shaw. And I think he's still one of the best left backs in the world when he's fit. But there are question marks about that. And we also have to question a little bit that he prioritised England over Man United, because he should be back in pre-season with us now if he hadn't gone with England like Harry Maguire is. So I don't want to bring a backup left back in for Luke Shaw. I mean, I also think with Luke Shaw, he will never play 60 games in a season again. He will, if we can get 40 out of him, that's good. For a successful club, 40 games a season is just over 2/3. So he'd be out for a third of the season. So I don't want a backup left back. I want the best left back we can get. And is this Kadioglu good enough to start for Man United and compete with Luke Shaw? Well, if he is, fine. If he's not the best we can get. We need a left back. Well, Reguilon's no good, the man. Like, Reguilon defensively is a concern. He's a backup. I want United to bring a left back in that can start games for Man United. And also, that's what we should do. I've said this before. We should never buy backups. You don't buy backups. You buy first team players and you let the two players battle it out. Like, Zirkzee's not coming in as a backup. Let them battle it out, Rasmus and Zirkzee. If we buy De Ligt and Yoro, let them battle it out. I don't want to buy backups, because when you buy backups, that's why you fight for fourth. If you want to fight for the titles, you've got to start buying first team players and let them battle it out. Because as we know, you'll get injury, loss of form, suspension. But if you buy a left back, it empowers Luke Shaw. If you buy a backup, Luke Shaw's sat there on his holiday going, well, I'm first choice when I'm back. If you buy a starting left back, Luke Shaw's on holiday going, bloody hell, I need to go back, stay fit and work hard, or otherwise I'm going to lose my place. So I want Man United to buy first team players. And De Ligt's a first team player. I think Zirkzee's a first team player. Doesn't mean he will be, but he is a starter. He's good enough to start. De Ligt's good enough to start. Yoro would be good enough to start. Branthwaite would be good enough to start. Ugarte would be good enough to start. And I think, if Wan-Bissaka goes and you bring Frimpong in, people will be going, who starts, Delo or Frimpong? Love it. That's what we need. I mean, Delo probably still starts, but Frimpong's got to fight for his place and Delo knows he's there. So I want United to buy the best left back we can, because it didn't go well buying a backup in Malacia, did it? And Luke Shaw, I think, is going to get more and more injured the older he gets. So now is the time. And I know we've got Amas, and I really hope he comes through, but that might not happen for a couple of years. So, maybe in 2 years' time, Luke Shaw's finished, this new left back's first choice, and Amas comes in and battles for him. So buy a first choice left back if we can afford it. That's what I would do. Fan Yul says, if Shaw is healthy, he's the best left back. Why would we sell Shaw when we need more players? We're not selling Luke Shaw. I don't know why anybody would even think that. Who's going to buy Luke Shaw on 170 grand a week? No one is going to do. No one's going to do that. Jack Lynch says, how can UEFA allow Man United and Lille to play in the same competition? Will not allow Man United to buy Todibo. It doesn't make sense. UEFA for you, Jack. Yeah. Also, oh, Luke, Roycroft, you just got yourself blocked, mate. Unlucky. John Hallaby says, no one said getting rid of the Deadwood would be easy, but this is when Ineos needs to step up. It will take more than one window. Great work, Mark, says John. Saf says, hi, Mark. Hope you're well. Do you think the club is more financially stable? We could go for someone like João Neves or other type of signing on that lines. I mean, you'd have to look, if you want to buy people like João Neves, I think two things need to happen. One, you need to be icing on the cake, like Man City. So you're already the title winners, and every summer you just look at it and go, what one or two players do we want? Well, let's spend 100 million on him. And two, you need to have the finances like Man City have got as well to be able to spend 100 million pounds. We're a long way away from that safe. You can do what Arsenal did with Declan Rice, and you can do what Man City did with Vardiel and spend, 100 million pounds on one player. But you've got to be, one, you've got to be financially capable of doing it. And two, you've got to be in a position where, you only need to buy one or two players every summer to top up an already brilliant squad. And at the moment, as we know, United need quantity and quality. We don't just need quality. So we can't go and spend 100 million pounds on one player because it would prevent us buying. If we buy João Neves, which we can, we don't get two centre-backs. We don't get Zirkzee. So, yeah, as somebody said, it's going to be a long road to get anywhere near like that. I notice it tends to be British players that are happy to sit there and take their wedge. No humility or ambition, says Let's Talk Football. Maybe because they're British, they've got a house, they've got family, they don't want to move. Maybe that's it. Hi, Mark. Just turned 18, so I can get my entire student loan on United to win the treble next year with Anthony on the wing. It's inevitable, says Little. Yeah. Remember, we're not in the Champions League, so don't let them take your money. And Diego, we've spoken about your comment as well. Do you reckon we'll go for Iheanacho now that Branthwaite deal is next to impossible? Rashil, you reminded me. Apparently, we are still considering putting a third bid in for Branthwaite. And as I said yesterday on the Branthwaite video, we talk about like we should walk away because we would walk away. However, just because we think it's a new United and a new dawn doesn't mean that they won't go and make a mistake. I mean, what if they go to Everton and say there's 55 million plus 15? And we've had our pants pulled down massively. So who's to say that United haven't got a third bid going in for Branthwaite? We talk about a new dawn and we talk about walking away and we talk about earning respect, but also that's just talk. What if United sit there in the room and go, it's only another 10 million from 45, let's give them 55 plus 10. That gives them basically what they want. They're so obsessed with making that deal that it's now or never. I mean, look, who knows? Who knows? They might do it. And this is what I mean. Like, I've seen some really interesting social media posts saying this from people I respect, saying, look, brilliant. Things are really going well with Ineos, but let's not let ourselves get carried away with each other. We are still in the honeymoon period. There may well be a reality period, and it might be a very sharp bump. Also, I would say, if they'd sacked Ten Hag, we wouldn't all be sat here going, good old Ineos, they're good. So you're only ever one mistake away from, dropping off, and Ineos need to take heed of that, of course. Like, they, at the moment, quite rightly and deservedly, there's a lot of excitement around what they're doing, but one bad move and people will go, oh, here we go again. Because the Glazers are still... The funny thing is, and somebody said to me this a couple of weeks ago, the funny thing is about the Branthwaite bid and the Zirkzee hijack and the Ten Hag contract, this journalist said to me, the funny thing is, Ineos are now getting all the hype that they deserve because they're involved in this. But the funny thing is, Joel Glazer's not on his holidays. He's signing it all off. He's signing off Ten Hag staying. He's signing off let's go for Zirkzee. He's signing off let's bid for De Ligt. The Glazers are still involved. Now, how much influence they've got, we don't know, but they have to sign it off. So in that process, there could still be some bad decisions in there. But look, I hope that we've walked away from Branthwaite now. I like the player, but to go and give Everton what they want would make us look a little bit weak, I think. Anyway, look, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video as per usual and subscribe. We have got the watch along coming in tonight for the England game. Absolute epic. History in the making, potentially. Really looking forward to that. But we will have a United Stand show you before that, maybe about 6 o'clock, depends what my plans are. But keep an eye on that. And any update on Amrabat, says Ryan. If Casemiro goes and Ugarte comes in, I'm of a mind to keep Amrabat. Because we need 2 midfielders this summer. And I can't see who the second midfielder would be. I'm 50-50 on this, and I am conflicted. I get people saying, if he's so good, why are we thinking about it? But if you think about it, if you've got Ugarte, and you've got Collier, and you've got Mainu, and you've got Mount, and you've got Bruno, and you keep Amrabat, and you sell McTominay, Eriksen, and Casemiro, I'm happy. Ugarte, Collier, Amrabat, Mainu, Mount, Bruno. I'd be well happy with them 6. Ugarte, McTominay, Collier, Mainu, Mount, Bruno. I think Amrabat for McTominay makes us a little bit better. So I'm of a mind that I probably would go for Amrabat, because I think Amrabat, Ugarte and Collier give you defensive cover, and Mainu, Mount and Bruno give you offensive cover. So yeah. But look, I don't know what's going to happen. Skinner says, my wife is due to give birth very soon. I clipped your version of Enigma from yesterday and it had us both in stitches. Thanks for being a legend. Oh, yeah, I can't do it now. Maybe later. I need to wake up a little bit. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching Legends this morning. Remember, it's Sunday. Stay off Twitter. Toxic people thrive. Get out there and, make sure that you tune in a bit later. It could be an epic night. Come on, England, and come on, Kobe Mainu and Luke Shaw. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.